Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. And football's great again. Tottenham win, Arsenal lose, opening day of the season. Beat the old enemy, Man City, old enemy who want our striker. We're the Harry Kane team. He didn't play, he hasn't played for a long time when we've played them, and we win. Joined again by Adam Matthews. Adam, how you doing?
Good after yesterday, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we were both at the game, both at opposite ends of the ground. But from my point of view, it was so loud in there. So it's like White Hart Lane is back. Loud your end? What was your
very loud
recollections of it?
It's brilliant. It's brilliant walking in, seeing all the flags as well, and everyone optimistic, and it's good. Football's back.
Yeah, we've just got to hope we give Watford the same treatment. The noise in there right from the start up until the end and the final whistle. We're just going to give Watford and every other team that same treatment because it was so loud. Just reminded me of White Hart Lane, and I think the players responded to that. Some of the challenges going in there. One of the biggest cheers was Bergwijn's challenge at the end when Ali was fighting for the ball, and then he came in and slid it out against. I'm not sure who, it must have been their right back. But what were your thoughts of the game as a whole?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, the first 15 minutes were a little bit, but we wrestled the game back after that 15-minute spell from Man City, and more positive. It was good to see the players fighting, especially at the end, because there's so many games last season where we would be in winning positions and we would lose it at the end. Very positive. I mean, Lucas Moura was a standout performer, I thought. Tanganga was a standout performer. And it's good to see Oliver Skip in the middle as well with Højbjerg, and they look to have created a good partnership in that holding midfield area. And it made our defence look a lot more solid. We had Sanchez and Maya, and it was just an all-round good performance from Spurs, positive, and we definitely deserved our win, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think our defence looked a bit better because they were trying to aim for a target man that they let go to Barcelona and haven't brought another one in yet. They're just crossing it time and time again. But talking of strikers, we do have to lower the tone just a little tiny bit. One negative, the only negative from the game, we do have to talk about him. We have to talk about Kane. Not there at all. Apparently not even in the stand. There were a chance at the end. Are you watching Harry Kane? Nuno said he was just rested because he's come back late from the Euros, but every other player who's in that England squad was in the squad for their respective teams. I mean, to me, I think he's gone. Unfortunately, so I hope if he does go, it's amicable so that he can come back in after he's got all of his wins, like Sheringham did, go and get Greaves' record, because he is a legend at the club. He will be a legend at the club forever, and he just wants to go and win trophies because Levy hasn't really shown the ambition that he wants. The whole training fiasco, refusing to train, said last week. He's issued that statement. I'll accept that statement. I mean, what do you think of the Kane situation? Will he play this season for us, or is he gone, do you think? What will he make of those chants as well?
I must admit, I was chanting. I was chanting, "Are you watching Harry Kane?" You're in the moment. Why not?
Yeah.
But, he's been named in our squad for the European squad, which intimates that he'll be here this season. But you just never know. You just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Personally, I would like Spurs to really sell him and get this all over and done with. Bring someone in like Martinez or another striker to replace him, and maybe bring in another creative midfielder or centre back, and just move on from it. He obviously wants to go. He wants to win things, which you can't blame him for. And we need to move on as a club as well. We proved yesterday that we are a good team without him. We don't necessarily. I mean, Harry Kane isn't the be all and end all for Tottenham. So if we can get 150 million for him, get a couple of decent players in, then I'll be happy.
Yeah. Do you think that will happen, or do you think it will be a Berbatov situation, literally selling with 2 seconds of the window to go, no chance to replace him, or do you think we'll get someone like a Martinez in and then go and look to sell him, or do you think we won't sell him at all, or we'll either sell him and not replace him at all and hope that those front three can do the job? I think that last part is a very risky move.
Yeah,
I'd like to see. That Martinez, that's it coming. Wayne Bonner always puts comments on here. Cheers, Wayne. We definitely need 2 strikers. Can't put everything on Son's shoulders, or we'll burn out like Kane. And it's a good point. Now, I mean, Son runs himself into the ground every single game. He's doing that for 60 games. If we get far in cups and everything, then
we need.
And then he said exactly what you said there. If he goes, get money and get players in, move on.
Yeah, exactly. We do need backups, because if Son, Moura, or Bergwijn, if 1 or 2 of them get injured, then we're not looking too good at attacking wise. Especially if Son gets injured for a length of time during the season, we'll be a bit stuck in terms of where the goals are going to come from, really. So we do need to really, if Kane goes, we need to get some players, some strikers in, without a doubt. And we can't leave it too late. It's just a very confusing situation at the moment, because he's not included in the squad yet for Man City, yet he's included in our European squad. So it's just a bit confusing at the moment. It's hard to tell what is actually going to go on.
Yeah, it's Wolves on Sunday. Got a week off, so see if he's starting lineup for that. But that's the only negative part. We had to get that out of the way. We had to talk about him because it's a big talking point. Let's get back to positivity. The front three caused problems for City. Maybe after 20 minutes until the end, the first 15 minutes was kind of on the back foot, like you've alluded to. Moura, I'll never hate Lucas Moura because of what he did in Amsterdam. But in terms of yesterday, it just showed that the positivity he has, even under Mourinho, when it was literally almost a crime to attack. He was the only one getting the ball and running at people. Did that all day yesterday. And then what you get this time, because it's what I liked yesterday and more pleasing about anything, I think, was the fact it was a defensive performance, but there was a quite clear attacking intent there and threat attacking. Whereas Mourinho, it was clearly defensive and there wasn't really an attacking intent. And Moura, I thought, was front and centre at that. Bergwijn running off of him and Son running off of him. And Bergwijn, Moura, I thought, was the catalyst. But Son obviously scored our goal. He had another one, pretty similar move. Took a deflection, could have gone in on another day. Bergwijn should have scored. We won. We'll let him off. Works his socks off. He's such a workhorse, Bergwijn. And that front three will cause problems for anybody. But obviously, you can't just rely on that front three all season because one of them will get injured, suspended, tired, whatever. But in terms of going forward, I thought, because we had 13 shots on target, I think, at goal, to City's 15 or 16. Whereas last year, we won 2-0, but they had about 15, 20. We had 2. So it was a much more even game and definitely had a threat. And those front three, City were backing off of them all game. Yeah, I mean, that's reasons to be optimistic. And that's a front three without Kane. Obviously, you play a certain way with Kane, he's not there. You've got to have another way of playing, and Nuno found a way in that game, certainly, to make us look threatening, and we got the win.
Yeah, well, the front three, it looked yesterday like they let the handbrake off last season, where last season under Mourinho, the front three were too scared to do something because they were too scared to do something wrong, it seemed. And it got confidence. Whereas yesterday, Lucas Moura was getting the ball and he was running at players. He was running forward. He was running into space. He was, sometimes he did lose the ball, but you couldn't blame him for that because he was being positive. And that's what we want. not all this negativity that we have with Mourinho. And it works. It pays dividends because you get into positions where Son can get it on the outside of the box, and he's so good at coming inside and then putting it around the keeper, and he did that. So I think Nuno has given the front three more of a license to basically just do damage and give them a bit more of a free role, which suits him, especially players like Lucas Moura, where he can run at players. He's so skillful, so tricky, and that's what works for him.
Yeah, I think Skip and Højbjerg will come to Skip a bit later on. I think they didn't really get forward at all, so that was the insurance to let those front three and Delhi as well to do what they want. Wayne's got in touch again. Morva, Bergwijn, Son as a front three, they'll cause trouble. Just need all three to score goals along with other players. I can't remember Moore having too many opportunities. He had that one, didn't he, that he scuffed, and then Bergwijn obviously should have scored that. It was fairly good goalkeeping from Edison, to be fair to him, because he came out quickly, and then Son obviously got the goal. But this is against Man City. You're not going to score 4 or 5 and have glorious chances every 5 minutes against them. But I thought, what did you think of Delhi? I thought he first half was fairly anonymous. Second half going forward was fairly anonymous. But again, like I mentioned with Bergwijn, an absolute workhorse, putting himself about and breaking things up. So it was almost like we had 3 in the middle there. Delhi, Skip, Højbjerg to kind of sit and let the front 3 do their stuff. But yeah, it was a much, much better performance from Delhi. He didn't get on the ball as much or cause any goals or chances or anything like that, but fully disciplined and looked like he actually wanted to be there rather than just, well, this will help my sponsorship, which it looked like last season. But what did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. A stat for you, he actually covered the most ground of any player.
I see that. Yeah.
So he was working hard, and I think he's going to have a very good season. I think he's a great player. I think the last few seasons he's just let his eye off the ball. Maybe he didn't get on with Mourinho. He didn't like Mourinho's style of play. He got left out. Mourinho was saying, he was digging at him a little bit, saying he doesn't work hard in training and all of that. Maybe that got him down, but I think he's got his head down now, and he's had a good summer. He's obviously got himself in shape and worked hard, and I think he'll have a good season. I think his dedication is what he needs to keep going. I think he'll have a good season. Delhi Ali now play most games.
Yeah, I'm hoping England's journey in the Euros has lit a fire in him. I'm hoping it hurt him that they got to a final and he weren't anywhere near there, and then now the World Cup saying I'm on that plane.
Probably did.
Yeah. I hope that happens. But yeah, I mean, as good as that front 3 were, my man of the match, Tanganga. I mean, is that the answer to our right back situation? You're taught as a youngster, or I was anyway. If you're a winger, get the ball quickly. The first chance you get, take that fullback on. If you beat him, you've got him for the rest of the game. But as a fullback, you're taught when that winger takes you on the first game, make sure you let him know he's there. He battered Sterling in the first minute. Sterling left, didn't want any part of him. Grealish went over there, he battered him. And for the rest of the game, until he went off after 82 minutes, they didn't want any part of him. They almost actively avoided him. They get up close to him, they turn back round. Brilliant performance from him, absolute stunning right back performance. And Gary Neville said on Sky that it possibly suited him as a defensive game, because this defensive game against City, when we have more of the ball going forward, maybe Aurier or Doherty would be suited. But he put some good crosses in going forward, and he set up the goal against Arsenal for Son in the friendly as well. So I think you've got to give him a chance now. Whoever at the club decided that he needed to go on loan to Galatasaray needs to leave the club and go to someone else and get rid of their best players. I thought absolute monster Tanganga. He got one of your own chant when he came off, and I was a bit worried when he came off, because as soon as he came off, Doherty comes on, Grealish is right back over to that left side. But luckily, nothing came from it. And Doherty played well when he came on. But yeah, Tanganga was my man of the match. I thought he was absolutely superb. And based on last season as well, where it looked like the players didn't care, him going clattering in like that, and Skip did it as well, Bergwijn did it, Ali did it. Not just him, but like first minute Tanganga did it, so that sets a precedent. It looked like the players care for the badge again.
Yes, yeah, Tanganga was fantastic, and he's so quick, he's strong. For a player like Sterling, it's a nightmare because he's not going to get around him. And Sterling, the whole game, he was anonymous. I didn't even realise on the pitch sometimes. So he kept him so quiet, and Grealish, it was a bit more lively than Sterling, but he didn't really. I mean, he had that one chance, didn't he, where he hit it straight at Lloris. But other than that, he didn't really make much of an impact. I don't think. I think he was quite quiet himself. Tanganga didn't give him much joy. Brilliant performance, and with Skip and Højbjerg in the middle there, holding all game, they'll just break and play up. Every time Man City look to build something, they'll break it up every time, and that's what we want because it protects our back four and our two centre backs, who they don't deal really. Last season they didn't deal with pressure very well. That's what you need. You need two midfielders, Skip and Højbjerg, just to break things up all game against teams like that, and that's what they did, and they did it perfectly. And it's just a much better and more balanced performance than Spurs.
Yeah, Wayne again has said he'd like to see Tanganga at centre back. I'm not sure now. I think when he first came in, he played at right back against Mane, superb. And then he started making mistakes because he was played at left back, centre back, right back, and in a Mourinho defence as well, where no one knows who's going to be playing in defence. What I'd like to see is him now play as right back. We've got Romero who's going to start at some point, and then it's going to be who partners him. If it is Tanganga, fine, but that's the partnership going forward for barring suspensions, injuries. But yeah. But then do you just trust Aurier or Doherty or bring someone in? So I'd love to see Tanganga at right back after that.
Yeah, but Aurier hasn't even been. He's not included in our European squad. Neither is Ndombele. So it looks like Aurier has been cast out a little bit. So he might be on his way out. So I think Tanganga on the right. Obviously we've got Romero in. I mean, I don't know who would partner in the centre. Who would you have? In a sense,
well, I mean, what I will do is this. Let's have a word for Sanchez and Dyer. I mean, last year, not unfair to say, both of them absolutely shocking generally as a whole. It definitely helped, I think, with, like I said, Man City were trying to find the target man that just wasn't there. And if you're going to do that with people like a Sterling or Grealish who aren't particularly tall in the box, Dyer and Sanchez are going to head that ball out every single time.
Yeah.
And pretty much that's what happened. If you've got a Kane there who will back up and be strong, they do get Kane. Completely different game. And then he'll obviously drag one of the defenders out, wide player comes in, then Kane will make a move again and get in, and then it's a completely different game. They made it easier for them, I think. But yeah, I mean, they didn't put a foot wrong. And I think that you mentioned it about Sterling. I think one of the best things you can say about defenders is there were times I forgot Dyer and Sanchez were playing just by how little fuss they made of all the jobs they were given. But I think Man City definitely made it easy for them. It will be when we're on top having the ball. If those two are going to play, when we're on top having the ball and you've got to keep that concentration constantly and we get a counter-attack on us with quick players and stuff like that, But I can't see both of them playing each game unless Nuno changes it to a back three, which I can't see happening. So I don't know where Vodon was, but I've been a big fan of Sanchez. I've defended him quite a lot. I think he's got absolutely everything. He just makes mistakes, but I think he needs to play every game. He needs that commanding guy with him. Yeah. But if you can get that, he's got everything.
He's 25, so still only quite young, Sanchez.
Yeah.
So he's still got a bit of learning to do. But I think most of the problem with our back four last season was because they were put under pressure so much in a game under Mourinho because we invited pressure. We gave up possession.
Eventually count, won't it? No one can survive constant pressure.
And having Skip and Højbjerg in front of them will help, because they'll break things up and they'll give them that sort of that protection that they need, rather than getting battered the whole game. Which, I mean, last season there were games where they were being battered the whole game. I don't think any defence can really deal with that. So, I mean, I think Romero will slot in, but it's whoever he'll take, whose place he'll take. Maybe Dyer.
Yeah, Dyer seems to be a firm favourite, doesn't he? Like Tommy, who was on last week, was saying Dyer seems to be the teacher's pet wherever he goes. Just one thing on Aurier as well. Wayne has said that he's got the African Cup of Nations mid-season, which is probably a good shout, and possibly might come in right into that European competition. So maybe he's just being invested for that. But Dyer's a bit too sluggish for me. His turning circle's a bit like a tank now. After his injury, and it was appendicitis he had. Never the same after that, Wes.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
I mean, it definitely looked to me like the defence was much more comfortable, because I think the telltale sign for Sanchez is the ball goes over his head and he doesn't even attempt to jump, he lets it bounce. And there was none of that yesterday. So it looks to me like it's been simplified, and maybe he said that you're fighting for your place. If you play well, doesn't matter if we bought a £50 million guy, you're in. Whereas Mourinho, it was literally changed. You make one mistake, one interception that doesn't lead to anything, you're dropped, and it's just, yeah. But another defender I like to talk about as well, just quickly, Reguilon looked so much better defensively than he did last season. And we've said maybe simplified and everything like that. You mentioned Højbjerg, Skip, and we had an attacking outlet, so the pressure wasn't constant. And maybe that's all it needed, because he looked superb yesterday. He didn't get forward as much as he normally does. We saw some of the crosses he stuck on Kane's head last year. But yeah, I mean, all of a sudden that back four looked quite solid. Even though Man City did help us out. But yeah.
Well, if you remember, 4 seasons ago when we had the best defensive record in the Premier League, we did have Wanyama and we had Dembele protecting that back four. Or that back line, and I think it just works having a couple of players in that position, just breaking play up the whole game, just going around breaking play up. Whenever the opposition try and put things together, break it up, get in their faces, don't let them do anything. And yesterday against Man City, that was happening. Man City couldn't really get anything going. Because it was just getting broken up. There's always Skip, or there's Højbjerg, or there's someone in their creative players, face all the time, and they don't like it. And it would affect them, and they won't be able to create anything. They won't be able to put anything together, and it works. Just get in their faces, and I think that's what we need.
Yeah,
that's what Arsenal. That's why they're so bad. Everybody in that position. Remember when they had Vieira and they had Petit? They had 2 players there protecting the back four. I mean, that's what we've got now with Skip and Højbjerg. We had that with Wanyama and Dembele, and it works, especially against teams like Man City.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's Wolves next, isn't it? And then Watford at home, you'd expect them not to be gung-ho attacking, so maybe a sit-back and counter-attack. Wolves are a counter-attacking team because of that one guy they've got in the middle of the pitch. So it'll be very interesting. It'll be completely different games. It could be cancelling each other out with 2 counter-attacking teams. But Skip, I was hoping he would start just a similar way that Mourinho did with Tanganga against Liverpool. Throw him into the furnace, into the lion's den, see what he's got. If he can get through that, he can get through anything. But nervy 10 minutes, like we've said, but that's to be expected. You're against the champions. Your first real big Premier, first time he's started in the Premiership, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Grew into the game. like you said, along with Højbjerg, were the kind of marshalling, the protectors, if you like. Didn't really go forward, but broke play up. And the one time he did go, the few times he did go forward, Højbjerg's nowhere near a forward line. Times where Højbjerg's gone forward a little bit, skips on the halfway line, and hopefully now they can get a partnership there. They're both fairly young as well. I mean, Skip's 20. I think Højbjerg's only 25, 26 maybe. Yeah. But yeah, very experienced Højbjerg, so he'll be able to show him the ropes. It'd be very interesting if we do line up in exactly the same starting lineup, if one of those gets a bit more license to go forward when we have the ball. But yeah, I mean, what did you think of Skip? And do you think he's now forced it, like Tanganga, in my opinion, forced his way into that starting lineup against Wolves?
Yes, 100%. He's got to be in that starting lineup. I thought it was brilliant. He had a nervy first 10 minutes, and he took out, I think it was Grealish, wasn't it? Just outside the box.
Yeah, very close to that.
But he was colossal, really. The whole game, you saw him. He was on top of players. He was breaking things up. He even helped out in defence when they were looking a bit. He came to the right hand side. He came to the left hand side. He was all over the place. He was brilliant. He was just one of them players, along with Højbjerg, just marshalling and protecting that back four, and that's what we need. I think Højbjerg went forward a little bit more. I remember there was one chance Højbjerg had where he, I think he hit something, but he came into the box. But obviously, while Højbjerg was doing that, Skip was back, and they obviously have that understanding. And I think they can build on that during the season. And I don't think we can disrupt that unless one of them gets injured, obviously. But I think we need to keep that solid midfield partnership there, and I think that would be good for the rest of the season, and I think that will work well for us, especially for defensive wise, and playing teams like Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, who do like to play a lot of their play around the opposition box and like to move the ball around quick and create things, and they've got a lot of creative players. Get in their faces, and that's what Skip and Højbjerg will do, and not let them play.
Yeah, we definitely look like a team again. Last season, I mean, we beat Man City 2-0 last season, but I still have no idea how we did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they had a fair few clear chances in that game. But yesterday we were well worthy of our points in that game, and we actually looked like a team. Højbjerg and Skip working together, it seems, and then working together with the back four, whereas it looked like 6 individuals last season at times. Front three working as a 3, whereas it looked like, I mean, that Leipzig game, or both of the Leipzig games, when Kane and Son got injured, and I think we had Bergwijn, Moura, Dele up top, you throw a blanket over all 3 of them, whereas yesterday, clear plan throughout the whole pitch, and our worst player was Lloris, and only worse because he didn't really have that much to do. He made one save in the second half, which was a bit of a Hollywood save, but did what he needed. Caught a few balls which released pressure. Made one mistake, I think, in the first half where he came for a cross, didn't get near it, but other than that, he wasn't really tested. And again, when your goalkeeper isn't really in the game, you don't really notice him. Your defence has done pretty well.
Yeah.
And I mean, having that attacking threat, even in a defensive performance, and looking like a team again, and a hungry team. And maybe the whole Kane wants to win trophies, I can't win them here, is galvanised and go, we're better than you think. We can win a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely.
That's worked in our favour.
Yeah, I definitely saw more hunger there and more working as a team. They're definitely more positive. They definitely seem happier. I mean, after the game, they spent a long time on the pitch, applauding the fans, and when they won that game, you could tell it meant a lot to them. I think Nuno, he's meant to be a good manager as well, and I think he's brought a lot of positivity back to Spurs, which is what we need. We just need that, because the last couple of seasons, I think that positivity has just gone, just totally gone, and it tells. You can tell on the pitch. There's no. I mean, the last couple of seasons, there's been no confidence in our play. Players like Mora just haven't been confident in some games. But yesterday there was positivity, there was confidence. Everyone played for each other. You know, right at the last minute, there was big tackles going. You know, not letting Man City have any time on the ball at all. It was brilliant. It was good.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about a good man manager. I think after Mourinho, David Brent would probably be considered quite a good man manager. But I mean, do you definitely think that the way that Nuno seems to be is going to be helping the players there, rather than Mourinho, which is get up against the wall, you're going to be shot if you make a mistake?
Yeah, Mourinho, I just think he's lost touch with modern football players, and he just doesn't know how to deal with them and manage them. And yeah, it showed, because I mean the football we played, it just looked like there was just no confidence there at all. Sacked all the confidence out of our players. You know, there was no creativity because they were too scared to do anything that was out of what Mourinho had instructed them to do. And you know, creative players, it can't work. They can't work like that. So yeah, I think Nuno is going to bring a lot more. He's going to bring a lot more confidence to the players. He's a better man manager, and I hope he just gets the best out of all of our players, and we can surprise people this season, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, possibly Kane saying he wants to leave has maybe galvanised them. Nuno coming in as well has galvanised them. But I definitely think the fans have as well, because that, like I've said, that was super loud. And I've lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, yes, yeah. The fans coming back. No surprise to me that Brentford won. Let's have a moment of laughter for Arsenal losing. Okay, and so Brentford have just come up. They're on cloud nine. They got the fans back. Their manager won't have to really motivate them. Arsenal just didn't turn up. And you could argue that that's exactly the same for us and Man City.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal were asking for that, weren't they? There's obviously something very, very wrong behind the scenes at Arsenal, which is good. Yeah. But yeah, the fans being there obviously spurred us on, and spurred the players on, and I mean, it's a strange one with Man City. They just didn't seem to click, and they just didn't seem to put anything together really. And I think it is the lack of having that goal scorer. They obviously haven't placed Aguero. That Torres, he's rubbish. He wasn't in the game at all. I didn't even know he was on the pitch. He was terrible. Jesus, he's a good player, but he's not at that level that Aguero was. I just think it's. I mean, Man City didn't score in the Charity Shield either. They didn't score in the Champions League final. It's something going on there, and they're just lacking firepower. They need to get rid of that Torres. He's just terrible.
Well, I think as well, Man City are good when they have the ball, and generally a lot of teams against City sit back. Whereas when teams go into them and not bully them, but are physical against them, they don't necessarily like it. And we were very physical yesterday, starting with Tanganga in the first minute. Skip, Højbjerg does it anyway. Dele, Bergwijn, even Mora and Son, and they don't seem to like it, and it kind of knocks them off their rhythm.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the stats I think were quite kind to Man City because they did have more shots than us. But in the second half, I could only see Spurs scoring, really. I mean, we had the best chances. We should have gone 2 up. Bergwijn, I mean, he's a good player. He's only young, but he'll get that end product soon. He just needs to be a bit more clinical and in front of goal. He just needs to be more confident in front of goal.
Yeah, I do think the keeper did quite well there. He was out very quickly, narrowed the angle, but yeah, he should still be scoring.
If he was, I mean, you could tell from a mile off, as soon as he went 1-on-1, he wasn't going to score that because you could just tell by his body language. If he was confident, he'd maybe taken it around the keeper. He maybe have chipped it over the keeper. He may have done something. But you can just tell he's not quite there with those 1-on-1, those big moments. Yeah. And that was the same last season as well. He was the same. He missed a lot of chances, didn't he?
I think the Liverpool game at Anfield last year completely destroyed his confidence. Not the game, but the abuse and death threats he got afterwards. I think completely killed his confidence.
That's just not. That's just disgusting. But
yeah.
It's still a fact that he needs to get better on those 1-on-1 situations, and he will. I think he will. I think he's a good player, very good player, and obviously I think Tottenham look like they're more likely to score. And City getting an equaliser, to be honest.
I mean, that was another pleasing thing, wasn't it? The amount of times last season, I think it was 23 points that we dropped from winning positions.
Oh, thanks.
And literally last year, there were a lot of times we go 1-0 up and then we didn't bother attacking for the rest of the game. And that was, I think, against Wolves where we scored after a minute and we didn't attack again for the rest of the game until we conceded the equaliser, by which time there were only 5 minutes left. But yeah, yesterday we were still going for it. And I mean, we spoke about Moore. I think it could be a massive season for him. I said before the season I thought it could be a massive season for Bergwijn. Could be for both, but it looked to me like those front three, Son, Bergwijn, Moore had licence to just swap over.
Yeah.
Which is obviously going to cause problems for defences because they don't know who they're marking. But Moore seems to be playing a bit more deeper because that's where the ball breaks and then he's able to run. And the amount of times he picked up pieces, and I mean, he still gets the Bergwijn chance. He still managed to get through when he was trying to tackle Son. But he still managed to get through. So I think he's possibly playing a bit deeper because that's where the ball breaks and that's where space is. And I mean, he's never, ever, since I've seen him, been fearful of running at people. And what that'll do, if you know someone's, it's the same as Eriksen. When Eriksen played, you get people running because they know there's someone there who can find them 50, 60 yards. If you've got more of a running through, you're going to have people running like a Bergwijn or Son because they know there's a good chance that he's going to get through the lines and then have a pass on it. And then they're also going to do that because they know that they've got a Højbjerg and a Skip there, who, if it does break down, you've got bodies back to try and nullify that, or at the very least, hold it up for you to come back. So, so much positivity, not just the fact that we beat Man City, not just the fact that Man City didn't really do that much. You can argue they didn't do that much looking for the striker, but you can argue that we forced them to do that by not giving them space in the middle. But, I mean, how far do you think we can go this season? And then it is important, I will stress this to everybody, let's not get carried away. It's one game, it's at home, it's Man City early in the season. But there are so many things to be positive about on that one performance, which obviously just need to carry on and improve. But I mean, has that changed your perception of where we'll finish? You were saying last week, top 5, top 5th or 6th, no higher than that. Has that changed your perception, or is it literally no because it's one game in and it's a good result, but calm down?
I can't see us breaking into the top 4 this season. Hopefully, we can have a good season. Obviously, get 5th or get in the top 6 with get our squad stable. Go into next season, not having a Harry Kane situation hanging over us, having a good squad, and maybe bringing in a couple of players to build on that for next season, and maybe looking to get into the Champions League next season. Or next season for the season after. But I don't think we'll break into that top 4. I mean, if you look at Chelsea's squad, they've strengthened so much. Look at Man United. I mean, they just look pretty awesome against Leeds. Bruno Fernandes and Pogba in the middle are looking great, and they've still got players to come back. They've got Rashford to come back. They've got Sancho to come in. They've got Varane. You look at Liverpool; they're still very, very strong. They've got Van Dijk back, and Man City will be strong. I mean, they've had a blip, slow start. If they get Kane, especially, they'll press on and they'll do well. So I can't see Tottenham breaking into the top 4 this season. But hopefully we can be in a position at the end of this season where we can say next season, I think we're going to do something. And I think we're going to, we've got a chance to get in the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne has said our main problem will be scoring goals, which if Kane doesn't play and even if Kane goes, we get someone else in, that could be a problem. And it's going to all be on Son's shoulders, which, so I think we definitely need another striker. Well, a striker in, or Kane stays, which even if Kane stays, I think his heart's pretty much set on going and winning trophies. And best will in the world, you can always say, well, I'll try my hardest, but your mind is slightly going to be elsewhere. But what I'd say about Man United is that they were playing Leeds at home. Leeds know only one way of playing football, and that's attack. The amount of spaces they leave. Pogba obviously gets the headlines because of 4 assists, but the amount of space that they left him when things broke down because they just attacked was, I mean, and someone of Pogba's quality is going to find balls there. I mean, I think it was Bruno's first goal. I'm not even sure Pogba looked. I think he just flicked it round. But I think fans back, and as long as this coronavirus thing doesn't rear up again and fans in capacity are back for the whole season, I think fans could make a huge, huge difference this season.
Yeah.
And you heard what it was like at White Hart Lane, Tottenham Stadium. It sounded like White Hart Lane, and the roar and just the constant barrage of noise. Old Trafford will be like that. Leeds will be fantastic at home. Away from home, maybe not. Yeah, Anfield. So it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool went and won the league again. Man City, which I'm not sure. Chelsea, not sure about them, but Chelsea, I'm not sure about. They buy all of these players each year, which is fine. They're good players, but sometimes they don't gel. I mean, Lukaku knows Chelsea, and so he might be a different one. And he's an upgrade on Abraham, isn't he? Even though Abraham's quite good, so it probably help Abraham going to Roma, where there's not really any expectation on him. He applies trade quietly. But I don't think we'll win the league. I think that. Even though I said Man United calm down, I think they're in that conversation of winning the league with City and Liverpool, maybe Chelsea. But I think the Chelseas, the Leicesters, Everton, if Benitez gets them playing, other teams there. I think we're in that shout for 4th. Whether we'll get 4th is a completely different thing. Yeah. Being in the top 4 race and getting 4th are 2 very separate things. But yesterday showed me that we've got a way of playing, and we could stick to a plan and be a threat as well. Whether we'll score the goals like Wayne mentioned, that's obviously going to depend on what happens in the next 2 weeks with this transfer window and everything. But we've definitely got a way of playing. We definitely looked a lot more solid yesterday, which was our issue last year. I mean, I know Kane scored, he scored 20... something, and then set up another 14, and Son scored a hatful as well. So, but our defence was leaking goals left, right, and centre. That was our issue last year.
Yeah.
So if you get that sorted, then sort out this striker thing to make sure you get goals. I mean, if we conceded, those 23 points we dropped, if we'd have not dropped 15 of them, we'd have been right into that Champions League race. And then you can always nick a goal. But yeah, I definitely think, and this Europa League as well. I know Kane's in the squad, but I think that's probably just a backup. He won't be playing in them group games.
No.
Unless it's to boost his fitness up and he's staying. But he ain't going to be playing in them group games. People like Son won't be playing in them group games. Might come off the bench if we're struggling, but it's essentially like a reserve game. So most of the top players there, first team players, are going to be playing on Sunday, having a rest until next Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's how Leicester won the league and then Chelsea the year after, because they didn't have European football. Whereas Manchester City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester in the Europa League, all have European football.
Yeah. I mean, I think Everton actually going to be a bit of a surprise this season, especially under Rafa Benitez, because he always gets the best out of his players and he always gets the best out of his team. Whoever he has, whatever squad he has, he always gets the best out of them. And Everton have got some good players. I mean, they've got Calvert-Lewin up front who scored a lot of goals. Carlson. They've got some very good players, and I think Everton will be a bit of a surprise this season.
Yeah.
I don't think Leicester will have as good a season as they did last season. I mean, I know they missed out on the Champions League, but they were in that top four the whole season.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll be close this season for some reason. I mean, I think they were lucky against Wolves the other day. I think they're very lucky against Wolves. I thought they were quite open, and Wolves had quite a few chances really. Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen for Spurs this season. I think it's going to be a bit of a transition season for us. But I just hope we're a bit more positive, because last season was a disaster. So,
do you think we'd have been as negative last season if it was this season and fans were back? Because 50-odd thousand or whatever were in there yesterday would not have stood for the football that was there last season. So do you think Mourinho would have changed, or do you think it's Mourinho who's like, I'm Mourinho, I'll do what I want, I know best, and it wouldn't have made a difference?
It wouldn't have made a difference. I remember going to see Spurs against Norwich in the FA Cup just before the coronavirus, and we were poor. We only started playing 10 minutes from the end, and we got the draw, went into penalties, and we lost the penalties. I think it was that Gedson Fernandes who basically passed it back to the keeper. And our play was so lethargic and negative, and there was no urgency about our play whatsoever, no positivity. It was dreadful football. So I don't think the fans would have changed anything really. I think Mourinho would have been set on that, very disjointed, strange play that he made Tottenham play, and that would have been it.
Yeah, that was the game Dyer went into the crowd, wasn't it? I mean, that was the height of the toxicity at Tottenham, which yesterday was far, far from that. It was a vibrant, positive atmosphere even before the game, even when people knew Kane wasn't playing, and the worry of potentially those two central defenders in the middle. But there was still a positivity, no toxicity at all. And so I think fans will play a huge part this season.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, but I think Leeds will be fantastic at home. Brentford, I think, will be fantastic at home, just because, I mean, Leeds are a huge, huge club. They haven't been in the Premiership for a while before last season, but huge club, huge following, and even in like League Two, at the depths of their poor form, they were still getting like 40,000 in.
Yeah,
and they'll make a lot of noise.
They're definitely fallen giants, weren't they? But I mean, they've got a good manager, but as you said, Leeds, when it's they kind of implode, like against Man United, when they let in a couple of goals and it's not going where, they implode and they set the floodgates open and they just concede. But you will get games where Leeds, they batter teams. They're a little bit strange in that sense.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit dangerous at the same time, I think, because if they lose that confidence at any point and they lose and lose and lose and lose, they could go on a really dangerous sort of streak and end up in the wrong end of the table. I think they've got that could happen to them. But
I'm not sure whether I think they'll just attack, and it won't change per game. They'll get a few tonkings this season. They've already had one.
Yeah,
but then I think they could hand out a few as well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but they did like that was what they were last season. I think they handed us one, didn't they?
Well, it was 3-0, but yeah, I mean it could have been more. But yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean they'll be exciting again. West Ham, I think. European football will catch up to them. I know they won yesterday, but the goals they conceded were awful. So I think, I mean, Wolves, they were unlucky against Leicester, you said, but I don't think mid-table for them. Villa, not sure about them. They're in a kind of transition period as well after losing their best player, and they've got 3 players to replace him, so it's going to take a little while for them to gel. Arsenal. I don't know about them. They're another team who could come into it. They're still in a transition period, but
they are amazing.
Whereas yesterday we had that fight, even right at the end, we had that fight. They didn't have any fight against Brentford. It's almost like, oh, we've won this. We just have to turn up.
And the 2 best players, both sick, both ill. I mean, there's obviously something going on there. And I just think they're in a bit of a shambles behind the scenes.
Yeah, in terms of the top 4 race, I think there's a lot more teams than normal who are considered title challengers.
Yeah, I think all the top 4.
Yeah, only one of them can win it, obviously, and then you've possibly got 3 others, so that takes out the top 4. But I'm always positive with Spurs. Even if we were bottom of the league with 0 points after 20 games, I still think we'd win every game. But I definitely think we can get top 4. 4th, rather, not top 4. I think anything higher than the 4th is going to be very, very tricky. But I definitely think we're in that top 4 race.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think we are competing with these, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. It's very hard to compete with them. Very hard to compete with them. I mean, look at the backing they've got. Look at the players they can just bring in. It's just very hard to compete with them. And especially if Man City get Kane, it's just going to be very hard to compete. And I just don't think we're there competing with them yet. And I don't think we'll be there very often competing with them.
No. What do you think? Yeah. What do you think of the next game? Obviously, Wolves going to be a very different game.
Yeah.
Likelihood is they're going to sit back and play on the counter with Troy. What I would say is brilliant that Jimenez is back after that horrific injury. Brilliant that he's back. Hopefully, it's not a brilliant game from him on a Sunday, but it's given Traore as well. If Jimenez can get back up to speed, it's given Traore his target man again. He was finding him quite a lot before the horrific injury and getting down the line and crossing balls in for him. And you talk about Man City don't have a target man. If my worry with Jimenez going forward is he won't go for headers like he used to because he won't want to get clattered, and that's a big part of his game. But how do you see that game going? Do you see it the same 11 that started against City, or do you see there'll be changes, or do you think it'll be a different game plan, or how do you see that going?
I don't think there'll be many changes. I think Tottenham will win. I think Wolves are not the team that they were maybe a few seasons ago. I think Traore, Wolves will need to get more than 5 chances for him to score. He's not clinical, is he? He's not got much of an end product, I don't think. Traore, I think he's a very overrated player, if I'm honest. He's got the strength, he's got the speed, but you see his stats from last season. He didn't score many goals, and he didn't assist. You saw him against Leicester. He had that 1-on-1, and he fluffed that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that worried about Traore. I think it'd be a Spurs win 2-0.
Yeah. Let's hope you're right. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
doing a preview for that. Hopefully Eugene is coming back 12:30 on Friday. But yeah, pretty much reached the end. We could carry on talking about it, but there's not really anything else to talk about. We've covered everything. First, I mean, what I will say is, I don't know about your thoughts. When the fixture list was handed out, Nuno had only been in the job a week or so, and there already talk of him he could be fired by October because of that run. Man City were considered one of those teams that could really cause us problems. We've got 3 out of 3 points in that. We've got Arsenal, which will be at home, and they didn't turn up against Brentford. North London derby is completely different, but a North London derby, you get the odd one where one team's at the top and one's at the bottom and the team at the top wins, but generally those kind of games, derbies, who wants it more?
Yeah.
And if the desire from Arsenal is the same as it was against Brentford and ours is the same as it was against City, it's a win for us. But, it's never, ever going to happen like that. But that's a way. We can still win that. Chelsea at home will be tricky, but again, we can still win that. The fans will be really up for that, I would have thought.
Yeah.
So you could end up, like I said, when those fixtures are released out, it could be a terrible run of games and terrible points tally, but it also could be a brilliant one. We chuck out 3 rivals before we've even really started.
Yeah, well, it's the games like Wolves and Watford we need to win.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no point in beating Man City and then next week losing to Wolves. If we want to even have a chance of getting in the top 4, we've got to beat Wolves away. We've got to beat Watford at home. I mean, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're the games that, you want to win, but you're not necessarily expected to win. Especially Chelsea. I mean, Arsenal maybe, but Chelsea at home, you're not expected. Spurs really aren't expected to win it. They weren't expected to win yesterday. But if you can pick up points against the big guys, but make sure you win against Wolves, against Watford, against Crystal Palace we've got coming up, then they're the sort of games we need to win and not drop points. Otherwise, we've no chance of getting in the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones a lot of the ones we dropped points at last season, weren't they? But yeah.
I mean, Newcastle, Fulham, West Ham, we dropped points against them all, and it's frustrating. We'll end up mid-table if we keep doing that. So, like we did last season, 7th. So, we need. They're the games we really need to make sure we win.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right this season. But we've come to the end there. Thanks so much for coming on again. You're like a regular now, 3 weeks in a row.
Yes.
See if we can do that to the end of the season. But I'll be back on Friday, hopefully with Eugene again. Wolves Spurs preview, and then hopefully we can get another 3 points there, 6 out of 6, and hopefully on our quest to top 4. But cheers, Adam. Hopefully you'll be back on Monday.
Thank you.
Cool. And then come on, you Spurs.
Thank you so much for watching, for everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter, @LTalkTottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then, come on, you Spurs!